101.5 KOCI Cannabis Talk 101. My name is Blue. Alongside of me are the Pot Brothers at Law, and you are now tuned in to the only FM cannabis station in the country. Let's give a warm round of applause.
Yeah.
How we doing tonight, Blue?
Oh, doing well, man. Doing well. So I guess we have some news right now. And Craig, why don't you drive us into the news?
Yeah, we've got a couple things tonight, but most interestingly is that now we have 44 out of 50 of the states have now legalized marijuana to some degree.
Wow.
44?
Crazy.
44?
28 states enacted comprehensive medical marijuana patient able to access full-strength marijuana. 16 states have adopted similar laws that incorporate low THC cannabis into their regime. And they got 8 states that have gone full rec. What we don't have is Idaho, Indiana, Kansas, Nebraska, and South Virginia. They have no type of marijuana laws.
Where is South Virginia?
South Virginia, let's see, Nebraska. Hey, cut off.
Melissa,
You're right. There is no South Virginia. Thank you.
Nice. Keep him on his toes. I'm going to have to start doing the moves.
Somebody
Idaho,
here knows what we're
Indiana,
talking about.
Nebraska, South Dakota.
Welcome to the show.
See, it got cut off. See, look.
I see. There's still no
Our
South
dad's
Virginia.
gonna wring your
It
neck.
is South Dakota, though.
Okay.
So it's Indiana, Idaho, Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, and North Virginia. No. The other interesting thing is that at least Kansas has decriminalized a lot of marijuana where they got rid of a lot of the felonies. So they are making some progress in these other states. And while it needs to go a lot further, at least there's some progress being done.
Real quick, just speaking of Kansas, I mean, I'm very familiar that Kansas is one of the most wild growing cannabis. We talked about this in the future. I mean, in the past, that cannabis is CBDs are grown off of marijuana plants all throughout Kansas, right?
Yeah, that is true. I think we read that news last time where it grows wild in the Midwest.
Yes. And I know this to be true is that the biggest distributors of CBDs are out of Kansas as well and Kentucky, I believe. So that's kind of weird that they're still holding it back. And I would assume that it has something to do with the actual sales or participation of the CBDs. Right,
and it just grows wild.
It honestly, if you drive down the freeway, and I've done this, and
Sessions may put a dome around that place.
No, just call it. Everybody's in the pull over. You almost pull over. You want to pull over and clip some buds off of the plants, and they say not to because they'll get you sick. But they are physically out there, and they're just growing right on the side of the freeway.
It's a weed.
It's a weed. It's
natural.
It's a natural weed out there. I was driving through Colorado Springs, Colorado, made my way into Kansas, and that is very true. It's a true story. I'm serious. So tell us what.
And
else?
What else have we have going on is different cities. We got Stanislaus County actually, and City of Sacramento voted to allow cultivation up to 22,000 square feet indoor.
What city?
Sacramento City.
Okay, so...
And Stanislaus County as well. And it's just showing that more and more cities are realizing that they need to regulate marijuana, whether it's MMJ, and then MMJ along with recreational, when that comes into play in 18, that they know they have to regulate it, capture the tax revenue, put it in safe places, make sure if there's manufacturing going on that it's compliant with safety codes, fire codes, all those other codes that you deal with when you're any type of regular business.
So I think what's going to happen, correct me
Agriculture codes too.
Oh, for sure. Water. I mean, we're talking about a lot of
power,
different bureaus, power.
Everything.
Everybody's going to get their hands in it. So let me ask you this, guys, because you guys are in the legal field. So do you believe that right now the states are going to start regulating, or how do you envision the rollout of this? The city of Garden Grove, the city of Costa Mesa. I mean,
the way they've written the state laws, you need a city license to get a state license. So the state isn't licensing anybody independently. So you're going to have to show them a city license. And then once you show the city license, we can only assume that the state licensing package or application is going to. I can't see them re-vetting.
It's a city by city thing. right?
Right, but in order to get the state license, so the state isn't rolling out anything.
Right.
They're just saying we will license you at a state level if you have a city license. So now we need the cities to come online, enact the ordinances, or in other cases, there's citizens having initiatives that have won.
Sure. Well, which is
instead of
measure
the
X.
city doesn't want an ordinance, or they won't put an ordinance through,
Right.
and get the people in line to be able to get the state license in 18.
So I mean that means you need to get close to people from different cities.
That's right.
To try and work out the details of how each individual city is going to go ahead and.
Well, we've been invited to speak at different city council programs where we explain the legality and the regulations, and lend a helping hand to city council who are unaware of MMJ and how it can be regulated.
Well, Mark and I were in the Los Angeles at City Hall talking. What was that? A couple months ago, and it was kind of interesting because you think LA is such a big city, right? And that LA should have their complete, plan ready to roll out in the event that cannabis becomes, legal.
What it did.
And so they're in there looking at us like, what do we do, guys? And we're over there like, huh? You're asking us like, and it was awesome to be a part of that. I mean, there's a lot of groups.
And those in the industry already got to get out there and get their voices heard. So these people who are writing the regulations, who don't know how things work and how growing works and cultivating and power they need and the water they need and all those other things, they got to get out there like they've been doing across the state with Miss Ajax, going to town hall meetings for the Medical Cannabis Regulation Safety Act regulations, which now they're doing that as well as the adult use. And to get that input and make sure that you're at these meetings, if you're out there, you got to get involved. And you got to talk to city council members like Ms. Fox and others to make sure that they're going to use their platform to help medicinal cannabis get to the patients, and they can have easy access wherever you're at, proper regulations, and that's how it's going to get it done.
As well, to educate the city council people or whoever it is, state senators, representatives, to educate them that it's
a team effort.
City councils are going to be your most important play right now, and what we're seeing is that people just don't understand the regulation scheme. As you were talking about, it's a matter of education. It's going to be very important to explain the different processes, the potential for regulation. In Adelanto, they're regulating only grows, but then they're banning everything else.
Sure.
And how does that, and the next question is, how does that operate under AUMA now?
It's the same thing. I mean, right now under 64, there's no license to grow recreational marijuana yet. So you still have to be under a city license under their ordinance for medical marijuana.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a license. It just has to be permitted.
Permitted license or other authorization.
Yeah, it could be
a CUP or...
Could be a business permit.
Right. Well, not only that, let me play devil's advocate and say that the city of Adelanto just allowed one of the biggest grows in the city. In fact, I was with him in Vegas last week. And, he's got the biggest, I think, grow in the country, and it's in the city of Adelanto. Or no, I'm sorry, that was Desert Hot Springs. And so I'm sitting with him. He's like, the city's on board, this and that and the other. But and his facility is massive. I'm actually going to go do a tour through it, and he's going to come on the show. But we're all going to. But the concept is what happens when the feds walk in his door and still smash. And I'm not wishing any bad luck on anybody. I'm just saying that's a scary proposition.
It's a reality.
You got millions of dollars put into this industry and creating an opportunity for the federal government to come in and just shut you down over, and when the city, the state, and everybody else is involved, I mean, they supersede it. It's over. So that's another beast that we're all facing. It's kind of scary.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see if President-elect sticks to his words, and especially in the realm of medical marijuana, which was leave it to the states, and any true Republican and conservative is leave it to the states. Less federal interference. Let the states decide. And that's what he has said. And he's also said he believes in medical marijuana. and he's seen the effects of it. I think I've heard him say those comments, and there's quoted comments from him. So hopefully he'll be able to tame this attorney general pick that he has named. Hopefully he can tame him, or maybe he can start the push to get it off the schedule of heroin and all those other drugs.
Yeah.
And then Sessions has nothing to do with marijuana.
Yeah, and how do you put the genie back in the bottle?
Well, that's the other question, right?
Yeah.
And how do you tell 44 out of 50 states that they have to completely overhaul the laws that they pass?
Well,
Yeah, it's going to be tough on that level.
Well, and I mean, you're talking about a new, essentially a state revolution. I mean, over federal. I mean, what are they going to do?
I mean, the states, the federal government is made up of state representatives from each state.
No, but what happens when they start barking back is my question. I mean, you got, let's say the feds come in and they start cracking down all of a sudden, right? And it just happens. And they just sweep through all this, and sweep it up. And let's just call it money. So that's what they went after, right? They look after the they're not worried about the well-being of the medication or the recreational out of Colorado.
Let's hope that Rohrabacher can get his amendment on the spending bill again.
Wasn't he supposed to be on our show?
He was. We need to talk to him.
Yeah.
But he has the amendment where if someone is compliant in the state that they're operating in with medical marijuana, the DEA cannot prosecute. Now, they can take you to court, steal your stuff, smash and grab, take all your stuff. But ultimately, if you can prove you're in strict compliance with the state laws under the Rohrabacher-Farr Amendment, then that's a defense in federal court, which is huge because before that amendment, it did not matter how compliant you were in state court. So, but that I believe is up in December from what I heard, and hopefully he can continue to champion that and keep us safe from Sessions, because then he would be, per that amendment to the spending bill,
if that goes away,
he'd be precluded. If that goes away, it's making us have to worry.
There's nothing. There's no defense.
No, but even before that, it's the enforcement. And right now, the U.S. Attorney's Office is under direction not to enforce. That's the most important thing, too.
Right.
Thank you.
And hopefully that'll continue, because if he's the businessman that he is, I mean, he'll free the weed.
The money's there.
He'll see the funds.
Well,
it's just selective enforcement. It's unfair.
It's very selective, and we've had people on here say that it's about. Unfortunately, they say it's about race. They say it's about location. They say it's about who they're in the pocket with, meaning like if you're tied into the city and you're cool with these guys and you've got this and that going on. It really comes down to, again, selective. They're picking out and choosing. And I kind of understand that in a way, because sometimes people are just too gaudy or too waving. If you go into a crowd and there's one guy out there and he's, 100 people could have a gun, but if one guy's waving it, then you're going to go after the guy waving the gun, right? I mean, that's just kind of normal, but it doesn't necessarily make sense that everybody has to be, under that kind of thumb. So
I agree.
And all the battles that Trump is going to pick with California, and there's many, will cannabis be one, or especially with medical? And you've got immigration is a much, much bigger issue and on the forefront. So, I mean, how many fights?
I think he sees the money in cannabis. I really do. And let the banks capture that money.
Well, it's the green.
And how do you do that is by freeing it up. And I hopefully he will. We'll have to see. It's all a bunch of speculation.
Wait and see.
Well, you know what? There it is, guys. It's Cannabis Talk 101. When we come back, we have Melissa Fox, which is the young lady that has been obviously here with us, joining us, the smart young lady, recently elected Irvine City Council. And on our right, stage left, Sober Junkie, recovering junkie and recording artist. 101.5 KOCI. We'll be right back. I don't practice. 101.5 KOCI, Cannabis Talk 101. My name is Blue. Alongside of me are the Pot Brothers Law, and we are now back with Mr. Mark.
Yes, we have some wonderful guests today. We have Melissa Fox, attorney and recently elected Irvine City Council member.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
And an ally of medicinal cannabis.
Yes.
So very important to get that on the city council. We also have with us a wonderful, talented artist, the Sober Junkie, who is also a recovering junkie.
Yes. Recovering heroin and methamphetamine user.
And he's got a lot going on. We've got a lot to talk about with these two